Hey folks, today we're going to talk about tagging and comments in Fontagent 10. Now, there's a lot of discussions that have been going on about tagging keywords or maybe pre-loading information such as classification of fonts or licensing information or keywords that might help you discern or search quicker for certain fonts. And so let's take a look at one aspect of this, and we went with more of a generalization. There's a term called tags, and tags allows you to create a keyword, a license reference, a job reference, a classification for a font reference. It allows you to personalize your searching of each font. Now in Fontagent, we allow you to add tags. It's very easy to do. It's just a matter of entering in, something here and hitting return, right? So that's pretty easy. And then once you do that, you go up to the search window. Any font that's been tagged with something here will become available. Maybe it's a job number. Maybe it's some type of font reference. Maybe it's a license file type reference. Maybe it's something to tell you that your fonts don't contain any licensing information, right? So there's a bunch of different things that tags can do for you. And we don't assume as a font management company that any one way is right, but if we label something as tags, then we are not presenting information to you that may or may not work well in your workflow. So with the term tags, we give you the ability to look at the data the way you want to. Now, why is this powerful? Of course, well, if you're searching through a lot of fonts, and let's say you want to find fonts that are specific to a certain job that you're doing, well, go to the search window and type in the job number. And every tag with that job number that's associated will pop up fonts that are supposed to be in that job. Or if you've selected a font and you want to know that that job number is supposed to reference that font, you can. And then the other detail, of course, is comments, and this is specific to the Fontagent client. Down here where a end user, creative, or production person can enter in information related to how that font has been used in a document specifically. It could be all kinds of information, and it doesn't have to be anything that's even traditional, but maybe it helps you search and sort through the files you need to go through to find what you need. Again, tagging and comments is a nice way of allowing a nice collection of information without being pigeonholed into a certain format. So let's take a look at what's going on here. We've created some tags already, as you can see, something here, and we already have some tags here. So in this instance, what we've done is we have some local tags and we have some tags that come from the server, right? So if I'm working with a set of fonts and maybe I want to add a particular tag to it, maybe because I think it's handwritten, or maybe I think it's humanist, maybe it needs to be assigned to job 35 while I'm creating content, I can do that because these selections of tags are coming from the server. They already exist and they're available to everyone in the Fontagent server work environment. This is something that your administrator will do for you. Now you can choose to not do this at all and just have your local tags. It's not a requirement. But if you have a traditional set of classification tags, a traditional set of job numbers that you use all the time for your customer base, it might make it easier to make sure that you're assigning the appropriate fonts to these jobs, etc., or licenses. Maybe you want the users to be able to reference a license in the font manager so they can go, oh yeah, well this particular font is for the Disney TV Super Bowl ad. Oh, well, I can't really use that for anything else, so maybe I move on to the next font, right? Maybe I go down here and select something else, and comes up with different information. Or maybe I need to just say, hey, I want job 35 because that's my new job, to use this Azure Bold and have that reference, so when I search job 35, I get this font that pulls up for me in my search. So as you can see, there's a lot of things to do here. I mean, sure, we can give you a lovely picture of the traditional classic classifications, moderns, classicals, graphics. You can see all of those here very clearly. And so you can certainly add these as tags and then add them to your fonts one at a time. And then you can select a tag and you can add it to as many fonts as you want. So if you have thousands of fonts that are handwritten, you can add that tag to thousands of fonts that are handwritten with a few clicks. Same goes for here. If you want to add the tag to more than one font, that's also easy to do. Now, there's also things like job numbers, right? We always have the dreaded job number in there, and maybe we need to figure out a way to come up with a job number based on the customer jobs that are recurring all the time. And that makes it easy to make sure that font has that job number assigned to it. Now, there's nothing to say that you can't add more than one job number to this. Maybe it's job 35, maybe it's job 100, maybe it's Coca-Cola, Pepsi, McDonald's, whatever your job might be, or the hometown newsletter. You can add that tag in there for a searching reference. Again, this is adding a searching reference to an existing font to provide you with feedback, whether that's information that's been provided by your creative department, then again executed by the IT staff by adding these various tags to the server, or the creative person as a whole creating tags for themselves. Something new, right? And then I save it. And that stays locally within this font client. So that's kind of neat. When you look at things like font licensing, right? Font licensing is very tricky. And maybe you need to add the licensing reference, such as is it used for desktop? Is it used for broadcast? Is it used for web? And that will help your designers discern how this font is licensed and give you a visual cue here. Because you don't want to restrict people from working, you want to inform them. And then you want to have policies in place that people adhere to, that sign off on, so that they're informed. They've been informed because it's presented to them in the font manager, and they've signed off on how you guys are going to approach this. It makes it very easy, and that way you don't have to be draconian about enforcing certain things. People basically police themselves. You have serifs, right? What is a serif? Oh, there's a serif right there. So you could look at how you want to classify these things. I mean, you want to put numbers in there. It doesn't have to be letters. It could be numbers. Like I said, job references. Or maybe you want to give a numeric value to the fonts, 1 through 10. 1 being best, 10 being worst. You can add a tag to all the fonts that way. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. Do you want to reference old school classifications? Why not? Here's a fun little chart. This gives you some really cool information here too, that you could utilize to fill in those tags for classification. So there's a lot of different ways that you can approach this, and a lot of different tools you can use to reference to create tags in your Fontagent client. So with that being said, we've showed you how to add them, we've showed you how to use them and how to search for them. And then we also have the server side here and the server side will be able to be viewed here in the Fontagent server. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in. And there I am. So now I'm going to go to the tags reference area, right? And let's say that I want to add a tag into this. As you can see, I have licensing information, I have classification information, I have job number information, license information, and it doesn't have to be laid out like this. It just needs to be laid out how it makes sense to you as an organization, right? You get 128 characters to do so, and you can have multiple tags for each font. It's not hard to do. It takes about a second. You just say add tag, something new, and there's your tag, right? It's that easy. Now, in the server side of things, it will tell you how many fonts you've assigned it to, and if you don't know what that number is and you need to assign it to specific fonts, we give you search capabilities within the all fonts folder on the server. So you can go here and say, okay, I want to add all my Adobe fonts to that tag, and I have 600 and something, right? 617 approximately. And so I'm going to select all, and now all of those Adobe fonts under something new, or 516 fonts, have this something new tag. And they'll be referenced to anybody who has access to that font within your font management work environment, right? So, and again, it's searchable. You know, you can do foundry names. You can do foundries where something was purchased. Let's say that you purchase a Latino type font from Monotype. Well, you can say this is a Latino type font, and then you could put a tag in this as purchased Monotype. So you can reference either one in a search, right? How cool is that? You can have multiple tags for each font, which is really cool. And you don't have to pull from a list. You can create your own. You're not restricted to the list that's given to you, so you can create your own. It's very important to have that flexibility to create your own tags, especially when you're working on stuff locally in your personal environment, because in order for you to perform speedily and get your tasks right, it's important to have that information that can be searchable, and this tagging feature gives you that. So that is how you add a tag and add a tag to fonts in the server. And then when you go to here, you might find that something new here. If I synchronize, let's see if I did this right. If I go to tags, oh, something new, 5 fonts. It's on the server. Eventually it'll show all the fonts. Well, 5 fonts here locally, but you get the idea. So really cool feature, tagging in Fontagent. Take a look at that and know that we give you the ultimate flexibility by using our tagging functionality.